Hey, what's up, fellow anglers? Aaron LeSieur here, bringing you a quick fishing report from this past weekend at Folsom Lake, where the Future Pro Tour rolled through with about 90 boats. We've had some inconsistent weather over the past month and with rising lake levels there at Folsom. So the fish have been pretty confused. Some of the fish are trying to come up on beds, some are still out deep. And right now there's a ton of floating debris out there. The wind's blowing it from cove to cove. So be careful when you're running across a lake because there are some giant floaters. It's also screwing up the launch ramps. There's a bunch of ramps, especially in Granite Bay, where logs are clogging up the lanes and you have to clean out your own lane to get your boat in. So hey, let's quickly go over some of the setups that we used out there over the weekend.
Hey, I'm coming to you from my garage, aka/man cave, and it's baseball season. I got the Giants gear on, baseball season in full swing. Looking forward to the full season and watching all the games. But what we're here to do is talk about setups, what we threw out at Folsom this past weekend. First thing we did was throw the Senko. This is just a 6-inch wacky style Senko set up on a Gamakatsu 4/0 wacky weedless hook. I went with a weed guard on this setup just because we were flipping and skipping into the trees. It just gives you that little extra protection when you make a cast that doesn't go exactly where you want it, hits a limb, it doesn't get hung up as much. It also kind of helped keep the Senko in place a little longer. When I was skipping these Senkos are so soft that they tend to rip right down the middle. If you really try to sling these things back there, I lost probably 3 packages of these things just from them flipping off. So I actually did halfway through the day, I don't know if you can see it, but I made a poor man's bait keeper. I had some rubber bands in the boat and started sticking those, cutting little pieces and sticking them on there, and those actually helped keep the bait in place a little longer too. I have it on a 3-foot leader. It's P-line, 15-pound fluorocarbon to a 20-pound braid. On a Revo SX reel. This is a Dobbins, this is the 704 spinning rod. I wanted a little bit longer rod just to make those skips a little easier, or the pitches, whichever I was doing out there. And then the 4-power just to help me, when I hook those fish, help me just kind of manhandle them and get them back to the boat and control them so they weren't diving back into the trees. The other setup we had out there was for the bed fishing. So when we found some fish on beds. This is my go-to bait. It's a Damiki Stinger 5.5. This is a watermelon with some black flake. I have it on a Damiki Viper hook. It's their wacky 1/0. Again, it's on a P-line 15-pound fluoro leader. I got a 1/4 ounce little teardrop weight on there. 20-pound braid on this Revo STX 6/4-to-1 reel. It's on the Dobbins 734. Again, a little bit longer rod. I was using this to pitch into the beds, and then the 4-power so I could easily control those fish when they did bite. So these are the couple of setups that we used out there, and these are really the only 2 rods I had on the deck. So there you go.
So our game plan come Saturday was twofold. First, we were going to focus on the willow trees. Specifically trees in 3 to 8 feet of water on spawning flats and in spawning coves. During practice, I ended up catching some really solid fish using this technique. As I noted, the fish were relating to the trees, moving up and down all day, and when the sun got up high, they would get in tight to the cover and were relating to the shade. So when I noticed this, I would end up skipping my Senko in those tight shade pockets and trees to make sure my presentation came in as quiet as possible. Now, we didn't do great in the tournament. We ended up with a mediocre limit at best, but really we were only about 1 bite away from making the top 10. So that brings me to our second part of our game plan, which was to go out and do some bed fishing. I spent a lot of time in practice with the trolling motor on high, trying to cover a bunch of water. I even went to the South Arm, the main lake, and the North Arm in areas where I thought they would be spawning. Now, I didn't see a whole lot of beds out there, but I did find a few areas that had some small males up on them. So I figured what we would do after we caught a decent limit during the morning was head out to the areas that I found the bedfish to see if any of the bigger females had moved in. Come tournament day, the wind picked up and the clouds rolled in. This made bed fishing really tough. We ended up scrapping that plan and just staying up north, and we did actually roll across one bed that had a male and female locked on. I ended up catching the male rather quickly, hooked the female twice, but never got her to the boat. So I hope this fishing report gives you some insight on what the fish are doing out on Folsom Lake. I'm Aaron LeSieur. Stay focused, fish hard, and I'll see you out on the water.
Couldn't catch her yesterday. Came back today. She's still there. Couldn't catch her in the tournament. Not 6, but she's probably 5. Right there. Dimitri Stinger.